Splatter around my stove is a serious problem, so I'm gonna try to fix it with this. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda in here in the Panda kitchen at the Panda Research Institute, where we cook up some of the most delicious panda you have ever tasted. Anyway, the other day I was doing a little stir frying on this range right here, and one of the problems, and this is a problem that plagues everyone, is that you get splatter on everything. No matter how careful you are with stuff, it just tends to pop and splatter all over the place. I really noticed that you get it on the other burners, on the cooktop surface there, and so it gets really annoying. So, is there any way to prevent that? Is there any way to make the cleanup a little easier? And I went online and I found that they make some mats for stoves, and it's kind of like a bib. They have some pre-made, but I don't want that because I have kind of a crazy looking stove. But I did find this. This is a roll of this material. I think it's, generally flame proof, but it doesn't have any cuts in it. So we're going to have to make our own. And I thought I would just make one so that I could move it around for all of the burners. And so let's go ahead and cut this up and see if it works. All right. So the other day I was using this burner here in the middle, and I don't necessarily always use that one, but I was thinking, why create one with 5 cutouts? Because then stuff is going to still splatter on the other burners. It won't necessarily be on the cooktop here. But if I just cut a hole in the middle of this material, then I can move it around, and that'll protect even the counter, when I'm using one of these side burners here. The other thing that it's actually kind of cool, these little grates here are all the same size. So I can actually just take one of these off, trace the hole on here, and then it should fit all of them. So let's do it now. All right, so I found this sheet on Amazon. It's actually a little bit different than I was expecting. I think it's actually some sort of fiberglass. They don't really put the constituents on there. I thought it would be more silicone-y, rubbery, but it actually feels more like a hard plastic, almost like an unepoxied carbon fiber. Not plastic like I feel like this is gonna melt, but it's very slick, almost Teflon coatish feeling here, but it kind of feels like a really tight weave screen door. So I actually feel like, 1, it probably will be easy to wipe clean. 2, it probably is, hopefully, fire resistant. I don't know if it's going to be completely fireproof, but it doesn't feel like it's a material that would just go up in flames. If it was just kind of like a soft fiber or a silicone, all that stuff can melt and burn. The only thing that is probably a minus about it is you can see how it's rolled up here, and it kind of wants to roll back up. So when you're putting this down over your stove, you probably want to put it so that the curling side is down so that it kind of stays flattened out there, okay? So right now I'm just going to pull this out here, and I would say it's about 18 inches tall, probably about 30 inches wide here. I'm just going to take off one of these. I'm just going to center it right there, just like that. That doesn't give me a lot of space around it, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a hole so that I can drop this over the grill here. Now, the other thing I was thinking is I could cut a hole to fit around the burner portion and then put this down and then put the grill bars back on top of the mat. That might be getting a little too fancy with it. Let's just cut this out. Okay, but that's another option, interestingly enough. All right, let's do it. So I did draw a circle, and now I'm going to just cut it out. It does cut pretty easily. It kind of feels like you're cutting fabric or like a cardboard mailer, something like that. Kind of thin. It's got some resistance, but it's pretty easy to cut with a standard pair of household scissors. So let's get this hole done. All right, I've got this cut out. Now, I'm kind of left with a dilemma. I can put it like this, just like I said, and it's kind of lifted up by the other grates here. Although I could probably pull these out like this, but then that's going to get those dirty. So I think the whole point is that I want to keep everything nice and clean. What I actually should probably do is, if I'm going to cook, at least on this range top here, remove these so that they're just out of the way. But now I have this material here, and it's almost kind of nice that it's covering a little bit of the switches here, so the dials. But now this larger area here, if it splatters, I think I can just lift this up and wipe it down, and I really think this is going to be easy to clean. So let's just get some gunk on here and see how easy it is to clean off. All right, so what I have is a little bottle of canola oil here. I'm just going to drop a little bit on here, as you might expect when you are getting things cooking here. And so now I'm just going to take a paper towel and try to wipe it and just see what comes off here. All right, so just a little residual. Actually, wow. Like soaked all that up. It really does not stick there. I was thinking whatever's left there, I would just run underwater and then clean up. But what I want to show you is that this is where the oil is, or was, and after wiping it out, man, I mean, maybe I can feel just a little bit of the slipperiness there, but I don't know. I don't even seem to have my finger on. I can't tell if it's just the slipperiness of the material. But what I love about this is that as long as this thing lasts me a few times, this is going to be a great way to save myself from cleaning up the rest of this, using lots of cleaner, wearing down the finish, putting etches and scratches and swirl marks on everything. So if you want to make your kitchen cleanup a lot easier after you've cooked the messiest but most delicious Panda meal you have ever made, well, I would suggest picking something like this up. You can pick up the pre-cut ones if you have a standard cooktop. I think they have some of those for some of the big brands. But if you don't have a standard cooktop, or if you want to do something like this, where it's just a single hole, and make your own custom one, I'll put a link to this particular one in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.